Okay, so section 13.4 is AC method and grouping. So this is going to be number 14. Number 14. I'm going to start with a simple one. And 14 is 15x squared plus 11x plus 2. So 15x squared plus 11x plus 2. Now on the test and the final, I'm not going to ask you to do this by grouping. But on the worksheet, I will. You're going to have a worksheet that's going to ask you to do this by grouping, so you have to show all this stuff dealing with the AC method. But on your test, it's just going to say factor. You can use whatever method you want to. For the most part, though, it is, depending on how much you practice, it's quicker to do this by trial and error. In terms of time, it's quicker to do this trial and error than it is to do grouping, the AC method. But here's the idea behind the AC method. So how many terms do you see? Three. In order to do grouping, you have to have how many terms? Four. And so basically, you're going to go from 3 to 4 terms by rewriting the middle term. So somehow you want to rewrite that 11x so that way, however you write it, whether you can say, like, remember 11x, 8x plus 3x is what? 11x. So that's things you're going to write it as. You're going to write 11x as a sum of 2 terms. It could be 10x plus x. It could be 5x plus 6x. You understand? But you can't just pick any 2 terms. You got to pick the right ones. And that's that method we're about to talk about. But eventually you want to go from 3 terms to how many terms? 4. And you're going to go from 3 terms to 4 terms by rewriting that middle term into how many terms? 2 terms. So the outside and the inner, you're going to see the middle term is the outside and the inner, right? So you're going to end up with an outside and the inner term that's going to rewrite it as. And so when you look at this, this is a quadratic, ax squared plus bx plus c, correct? Where the coefficient of x squared is a, the coefficient of x is b, and your constant is what letter? C. And so the AC method says that you want to take a and c, and you want to find their product. So you're going to find the product of a and c. Whatever a is, whatever c is, you're going to find their product. And whatever number you choose, whatever 2 numbers you choose, so you're going to find 2 numbers whose product is AC, whose product is AC, and sum is B. So you're going to find 2 numbers whose product is AC, but the sum of 2 numbers has to be what? B. That's the idea. But the first thing you're going to do regardless is find the GCF. What's the GCF here in number 14? 1. Okay, so if it was something other than 1, you would factor it out. And that's where some of you messed up on that grouping worksheet you had to turn in or that you got back, was because you forgot all about the GCF. And so you lost some points there because you didn't take out the GCF in the end. But the GCF here is 1. So now we're going to go to the 4th term idea. So AC. So what is A in this case? 15. What is B? 11. And what is C? 2. Okay? So you're going to find, you want the product, remember, to be AC. So what's this product right here when I multiply A and C together? 30. So we want the product to be 30, right? You all agree?
Yeah.
And you want the sum to be what number? 11. So you want the product to be a positive 30, and you want the sum to be a positive what? 11. And I picked number 14 because all those signs are positive. Now we're going to do one where the signs are negative. All right, now give me 2 numbers whose product is 30 and sum is 11. For example, 15 and 2 is what? 30. But what's the sum? Is that what I wanted? No. Okay? But that's the idea. But I think now you can tell me what you think it is. 5 and 6. You agree? 5 and 6. So 6 and 5, that sum is what? 11. So that's the one I'm going to use. So the two numbers I'm going to use is 6 and 5. So meaning that I'm going to rewrite 11x using what numbers?
5x plus 6x.
6x, 5x, or 5x, 6x. It does not matter which one you put first. It does not matter. All right, so here's what you do now. So you're going to go here and you're going to say this. So I got to see this though. I got to see those four terms. So you're going to say 15x squared. Now you're going to rewrite 11x. Tell me how you're going to rewrite it.
Plus 5x.
You want to put 5 first? Okay, that's fine. Plus 5x. And I'll put 6x first over here just to show you what happens. Plus 5x plus what? 6x plus what? 2. All right. You see what to do. Not difficult. Fairly easy to do. That's an easy one to deal with. Now you're going to group the first two. Group the last two. What can I take out the first group? 5x. 5x times what? 3x plus 1. What can I take out the second group? Positive 2, right? You remember, you're going to take out the middle sign right here. What do I get? 2 times what? If I'm doing this correctly, what's inside the parentheses should be the same. Now, what's the answer? There's your answer. All right. But I didn't do this by trial and error, did I? I used this by what method? The AC method. That's what I used. Okay? All right. Now let me just show you what would happen if you had put 6x first. So I'm going to say 15x squared plus 6x, and then say what? Plus what? 5x, and then plus 2, correct? Okay. So if I group the first two and then group the last two, what can I factor out the first two? Not quite. She said x. 3x. 3x. So 3x times what?
5x.
Okay, plus 2. Good. What can I factor out that second group? Oh, don't say nothing. Every group has a GCF. What is it? 1. GCF is 1. So you say plus 1 times what?
5x plus 2.
All right. Now notice what's not the parentheses are the same, so what's the answer? 3x plus 1. All right. So you see, it does not matter the order in which you put those two middle terms. It does not matter. You get the same answer. All right. Let's do one where one of the signs is negative. So let's do number 18. Let's do 18. Okay, 18, you have 30x squared minus 23x plus 3. So 30x squared minus 23x plus 3. All right. So let's determine what A, B, and C are. What's A?
30.
What's B? Negative 23. What is C? 3. So product, sum. So remember, product, sum. The product is AC. So what's the product here?
90.
90. The sum is B. So what's the sum?
Negative
23. So I got to come up with two numbers whose product is a positive 30 and whose sum is a negative 23. Now guys, remember, I want the product to be a positive 30. In order to get two numbers whose product is positive, they both have to be the same sign. And if I want the sum to be negative, that means the signs have to be both what? Negative. Because a negative times a negative is a what? Positive, and a negative plus a negative is a negative. Okay, so they both have to be negative, the two numbers. So come up with some ideas what you think would work for 90. Negative 2 and negative what? 45?
Yeah.
All right, so negative 2, negative 45. I agree that product is 90, but what's the sum? Negative 47, so that's not what you wanted.
Okay.
Use your calculator to help you. Come up with some ideas. Come up with ideas. Use your calculator. Huh?
3 and 30.
3 and 30. Okay, so let's try 3 and 30. So negative, but you got to say negative 3 and negative 30, though. When you add them, though, that's negative 33. So that won't work. Use your calculator to help you. Yeah, always start with the smallest common factor. So 2, huh?
Negative 5 and the negative 5.
Okay, so I asked you this. I said always start with the smallest common factors. So let's think about 90. The smallest factor of 90 besides 1 is 2. So we tried 2 and 45, didn't work. The next one is 3. We tried 3. Negative 3 and 30 did not work. What's the next one that goes into 90? 5. All right, let's try that. Let's try negative 5 and negative 18. And when I add them up, what do I get? Negative 23. Okay, so that's the one I need. Okay? So now I'm going to rewrite negative 23x with what two numbers? What two terms? Negative 5x and negative 18x. It does not matter which one you put first. All right, so I'm going to go from 3 terms to 4 terms. So we're going to say all right, so we're going to say 30x squared minus 5x minus 18x plus 3. And it did not matter whether you put negative 18x first or negative 5x. It does not matter. Okay, now we're going to group. From the first group, what is the G set from the first group? 5x. Times what?
6x minus 1.
Okay. From the second group, what will I factor out?
3x.
Not quite.
Negative
Negative 3. Take out that middle sign. Okay, negative 3 times what is a negative 18x? 6x. Negative 3 times what is a positive 3? Negative 1. So notice the parentheses are the same, so what's the answer? Yep. Okay, so the AC method. All right, let's look at 16. All right, 16, you have 8x squared minus x minus 9. So again, notice we're not using trial and error, we're just using the AC method. What is A? What's B? Nope. Negative 1. What is C? Negative 9. All right, so I want the product to be, remember, AC. So that's 8 times a negative 9. Negative 72. And I want the sum to be B, which is negative 1. Okay, so remember, the product's negative. In order to get a product that's negative, one has to be positive, one has to be negative. And whatever the sum is, I want it to be negative. So give me two numbers you think whose product is negative 72 and whose sum would be negative 1. 9 times 8. Okay, and then you can think about, okay, you know that negative 9 times a positive 8 is a negative 72. You know that Well, I forgot what I said. Which one was negative? But if you do the other one, it's still a negative 72. But you want their sum to be what? Negative 1. So is negative 8 and a 9 going to work? No. Because our sum is what? Positive 1. But what do I need to change it to? 8 and a what? Negative 9. And their sum now is what? Negative 1. All right. So some of you came right away to 8 and 9. Some of you may have gone through a couple more pairs before you came up with that one. But use your calculator to come up with them. Okay? All right, and then so I'm going to rewrite this into 4 terms. So it's going to be 8x squared. All right, tell me what to write next. No, oh yeah, I'm sorry. I was looking at the wrong one. Minus 9x plus 8x minus 9. Does not matter whether you put 8x or 9x, negative 9x first. Does not matter. You'll see you have the same answer. Since I'm writing it this way, what's the GCF of the first two? Nope. X. Not 1. They both have x in common. X times what? Okay. What's the GCF of the second group?
1.
Plus 1 times what? 8x minus 9. Parentheses are the same, which is what I want. So now what's the answer?
X plus 1.
8x minus 9 times x plus 1. So that's your answer. Again, you should always check your work. On attention, I can have time to do that. But on a worksheet, you can. You just follow it out and make sure you get this trinomial back. That was 16. Let's look at 28. 28. All right, 28. We have 3x cubed plus 8x squared plus 4x. Again, you want to do this by grouping. What do you have to do? GCF. You got to do the GCF first. What's the GCF? X. Okay. You say x times, and then what do you get in parentheses?
3x squared plus 8x plus 4.
Okay. All right. Now, I take that quadratic that's in parentheses, I'll go off to the side, and I do the AC method with it. Okay? So I'm going to rewrite this. I'm going to go here. And use the AC method on that. Okay? All right. Now, in the end, though, your answer has to have what GCF in it? X. Okay, what's A? What's B? And what's C? 4. All right, so product needs to be AC. And what's AC? 12. Okay. And the sum has to be B, which is 8. So that's it. That's not a difficult one. So give me two numbers. This product is 12. Sum is 8. 6 and 2. Positive 6 and a positive 2. Don't say negative 6, negative 2. You might say, well, product's positive, but what's the sum? Negative. Negative 6 and a negative 2 is a negative 8. All right, so you're going to rewrite the middle term using that now. So you're going to say 3x squared. What do you want to write next? 6x. Then what? 2x. And then what? Plus 4. Now group. What can I take out of the first group? Times x plus 2. What can I take out the second group? Positive 2 times what? Okay, and then what's, now I was going to say what's the answer, but I can still say what's the answer to this? What's the answer to this? x plus 2 times 3x plus 2. But then what's the answer to the original problem? X times x plus 2 times 3x plus 2? All right, so that's 28. Let's look at 32. We have negative 25x plus 12 plus 12x squared. So negative 25x plus 12 plus 12x squared. Put in descending order. So 12x squared minus 25x plus 12, right? So we got to put in descending order. All right. What's the GCF?
1.
What? So then we go directly to the AC method. So I want the product. Oh, well, first of all, what's A?
That's 12.
What's B?
Negative.
Negative 25. And what's C? 12. So I want the product to be AC, which is 144. 12 times 12 is 144. And you want a sum to be B, which is negative 25. So that's the easy kind, because if you want the product to be positive, both signs have to be the same. In this case, you know both signs have to be what number? What kind of number? Negative. Okay, so use your calculator if you have to. Use your calculator to determine what factors go in 144 and see what the product is.
That's 16 and 9.
16 and 9.
Yeah.
Do you think that'll work, y'all? Okay. All right. So it'll be negative 16, negative 9. And the product is negative 25. Now, some of you probably tried some other numbers, but remember, you have access to a calculator. So you would try 2, and then you would try 3. Now, 4 doesn't go to 144. 5 doesn't go to 145. 6, 144 divided by 6 is not a whole number, is it? No. Oh, it's 2. It is? Okay. But that won't work, right? Okay, remember what you're doing. What you're asking yourself is this, and you just play around with your calculator. So that one's easy to where you can just quickly do this. So we didn't choose 5 because in order for it to be divisible by 5, this has to be what digit at the end? 5 or 0. All right, so we say 6, 144 divided by 6, that's 24 and 6. That sum is going to be a negative 30. Not going to work. Then 7 is not going to work. 144 divided by 7 is not a whole number. 8, 144 divided by 8 is 18. But what's 18 plus 8? Yeah, it's not going to work. The next one's 9. 144 divided by 9 is 16. 16 plus 9 is 25. So that's the one that's going to work. All right, so just use your calculator. You need your calculator with this. Okay, now once you do that, you're going to rewrite this as 4 terms. 12x squared. Now what are you going to write? Plus 12. Group. What's the first group? 4x times what?
3x.
Okay. Second group, what are you going to factor out? Negative 3 times, not plus 4, minus 4, because a negative times a negative is a positive. And if you had put the plus 4, you knew something was wrong because these have to be the same. So what's the answer? Times 4x minus 3? All right. Okay, let's look at 38. Let's look at 38. All right, 38, you have 30x cubed minus 155x squared plus 25x. What do you do first? GCF. What's the GCF? 5x. Times what?
6x squared. 31x plus 5.
Okay, good. All right, is that the answer? No. You got to see if you can factor that trinomial. So I'm going to go off to the side. Remember, the direction says use AC method, so don't do trial and error if it says the AC method. Now remember, the test is I'm not going to specify what method to use. On the worksheet, though, there are 2 worksheets that says use the AC method. Okay, so A is what? 6. B is? Negative 31. C is? 5. All right, so in the product to be AC, which is 30. And you want the sum to be negative 31. Now that one's easy to figure out. What is it? Not negative 5. Yeah, 30 and 1. 31, right? So negative 30, negative 1? All right. So negative 30, negative 1 is going to work. Now you could have, some of you saw that right away. Others of you may need to go through that process. So you said 6 and 5, but you knew that wasn't going to work because negative 6 and negative 5. Now for one thing, you wouldn't say 6 and 5 because you want the sum to be what? Negative. Now you could. I mean, you could say 6 and 5, and then you'd figure it out. You'd say, well, that's going to be 11. But you want the sum to be negative, so you knew that these have to be what kind of numbers right here? Negative. So even if you said negative 6 and negative 5, the sum is negative 11, which is not what you want. So you just keep working at 2 numbers whose product is a positive 30 and whose sum is a negative 31. So the only numbers that work would be negative 30 and negative 1. So we're going to rewrite this quadratic using 4 terms now. So 6x squared. All right, which one do you want to write first? Into 30. Okay, so minus 30, then what? Minus 30x, and then what? Minus x, or minus 1x, plus 5. All right. Okay, from the first group, what can you factor out? 6x times what? Okay. Second group, what can you factor out? Negative 1 times what? X minus 5. And so for that part here, now remember that's not the answer to the original problem. That's just the answer to this quadratic right here. It'll be x minus 5 times what? Now what's the answer to the original though? 5x, the GCF, times that. X minus 5 times 6x minus 1. Go to the original. Good. All right, and then let's look at 46. All right, 46. So here's 46. You have 20s to the fourth plus 61s cubed t and then plus 3s squared t squared. Again, you want to factor this by using the AC method. But the first thing you got to do, regardless, is what? GCF. What do you think it is? S squared. Okay, so the GCF is S squared. So you're going to say S squared times what?
20s squared.
Okay.
Plus 61s plus 3.
ST, right? 61 ST. Not just T, but yes, S cubed. That's S cubed T.
So ST plus 3T squared.
Yep. All right. So then I'm going to rewrite that trinomial. I'm going to use the AC method on that. So 20 S squared plus 61 ST plus 3T squared. What's A? What's B? And what's C? 3. So I want the product to be AC. So what do I want the product to be? 60. Well, that one's easy again. And with the sum to be 61, you know what works. What works? 60 and 1. Okay, now you're going to rewrite the middle term using those two numbers. Well, remember, my middle term has how many variables in it? 2. Okay, so 20 S squared. Do you want to put 60 or 1 first? 60? But you're going to say 60 what? ST, then plus what? ST, and then plus what? All right, good. Okay. So see you had two variables and you see how it looks, the middle term? Because 60 ST plus 1 ST is still 61 ST. All right, now you group.
5s.
Okay, 5, not 5, but what? 20, right? 20? 20S times what?
S plus 3T.
Good. Plus T, good, times S plus 3T. And so for that part, though, what is this factor, this trinomial? All right. And so therefore your answer up here then is going to be S squared times okay. All right. So any question the AC method? That's all this was. Okay, so let me give you the two worksheets with that to see what it looks like. And the way that your addition breaks it down is it's the special factors in two sections, section 13.5 and then the appendix 1, so A1. So 13.5 and A1. 13.5 has the difference of two squares, difference of two squares. Difference of two squares. And then in the appendix 1, what you need to know in there are these, the difference of two cubes and the other one is the sum of two cubes. So the difference of two cubes and the sum of two cubes.
So, and there's the sum of two squares and 13.5.
13.5, we did talk about the sum of two squares, but can we factor the sum of two squares? Do you remember? So the sum of two squares, remember, cannot be factored. So it's something like this, where you had x squared plus 49. So x squared plus 49, that's the sum of two squares, because remember how we talked about this? You want to fill in those parentheses. So x goes in the first one, y goes in the second one? 7. So that is the sum of two squares, but we saw that we cannot factor the sum of two squares. So if it was a squared plus 49, what would you put in that blank? What word? Prime. You put the word prime. So meaning it cannot be factored. So the sum of two squares cannot be factored. Now, be a little bit careful. If you had this, if you had factor, let's say 3x squared plus 27, let's say, what would you do first? Always look for GCF. What's the GCF here? 3. So that'll be 3 times what? Plus 9. Now what's going to get a few of you, though, is you're going to look at that x squared plus 9 and remember, well, that's the sum of two squares, so I've got to write the word prime. Don't put the word prime there. You'll be upset because the direction said to factor. Did I factor? Yes. What's the answer? 3 times x squared plus 9. You factored it. Take out the GCF is factoring as well. So, but remember, you always ask yourself, all right, take out the GCF, and then you say, can I do anything else to that, what's inside that parentheses? And the answer is no, because that's the sum of two squares. So you stop, there's your answer. So you factor. Remember, factoring just means to rise a product of factors, and those factors are prime. All right. Now, on page 1223, it's probably thicker than the Bible. This is number, which one I was going to do? Number 10. Number 10. And I think did we talk about the difference of two cubes or the sum of two cubes last time? It's in the notes. No, I didn't do both.
No, I think you did the difference.
I think it was a difference. I didn't. I
They're
passed
right
out
here.
the notes around,
They're
but
the extras right here.
in the last page, it was the difference of two cubes. Okay, so I'll give you the formula. And so what I'm going to give you, though, will be this, though. All I'm going to give you is going to be something that looks like this. F cubed minus L cubed. And remember, when we factor the difference of two cubes, the first factor is a binomial, and the second factor is a what? Trinomial. And so the binomial is F minus L. The trinomial is whatever your F is, you're going to do what to it? Square it, plus, and then the product of F and L, and then plus, and then whatever L is, I'm going to do what to it? Square it. So that's your formula. So if you have something that looks like this, F cubed minus L cubed, then it'll be that binomial times that trinomial. So number 10,
L squared?
L squared.
Okay.
Yep. So number 10, you have A cubed minus 216. All right, so the first thing you got to do in factoring those, look for a GCF. What's a GCF? 1. How many terms do you see? 2. So we want to see if it's a special factoring. If it's 3 terms, you factor out the GCF, it's still 3 terms, then you're either going to do trial and error or you use the AC method. If it's 4 terms, you're going to do what? Group. But it's 2 terms, so you know that when you have 2 terms, you're going to look for either the difference, and what's the middle sign? Negative. So subtraction though, right? So you can look for the difference of 2 squares or the difference of 2 cubes. You know it cannot be the difference of 2 squares because what's the exponent of A? 3. So you can check for the difference of 2 cubes. So what you need to do is ask yourself, well, can I fill in, that's to be cube, can I fill in these 2 parentheses? And the answer is yes, because what goes inside the first one? A. Now you got to ask yourself, what times itself 3 times is 216? Now your calculator has a cube root that you can use. So what's the cube root of 216 in your calculator? So cube root, so you're just going to do this. You're going to say 216. But you got to do the cube root first. So to get to it, you're going to use, you see where it has right here, right above that roof-looking thing, it has this symbol. That symbol. Oh, I'm sorry, not cube, but it's an X, right? X. So you're going to do, since I'm dealing with cube root, that X is your index. So what's my index? I'm dealing with cube root. 3. So you're going to say 3. Then you're going to press second, and then this button, see what shows up? And then you're going to say 216, and you're going to press equal. And so it's a cube root of 216? 6. Okay? So what goes inside the parentheses? 6. So is this a difference of 2 cubes? Why do you say no? Is this a difference of 2 cubes?
Yes.
Yes, because I filled in the parentheses. Now, some students get so caught up, I guess out of nervousness on a test or something, they stop there and say that's the answer. That's not the answer. All you're doing is asking yourself in your mind, is it a difference of 2 cubes? It is, I can fill in the parentheses. But the answer has to be this product right here. So this is your F, and this is your L. So let's talk about the answer now. The binomial, what's going to be my binomial? No. A is just F minus L. What's F? A, what's L? 6. So it's just what? A minus 6. Okay, times, and then the trinomial. So the trinomial part says I take F and I multiply by itself, right? The F squared. What's F in this case? A. So what's A times A? So that goes here. Plus, and then I take F and L. What's F in this case? What's L in this case? So what's this product? 6A. Plus, and then I'll find L squared. So L squared means L times L. What's L? So what's 6 times 6? And so there's your answer. So A minus 6 times A squared plus 6A plus 36. Now, some of you are going to want to try and factor this trinomial right here. You can't. We're talking about the fact that in the difference of 2 cubes, and same thing for the sum of 2 cubes, this trinomial you can't factor any further. So you stop there. Don't waste your time. Nothing's going to work. There's no 2 products that's going to give you this trinomial. All right, so that was 10. All right, let's look at 12. 12. So here's 12. All right, so 12, you have 375y to the 6. Minus 24y cubed. All right, so what are you going to do? Hello? GCF. So in terms of the variable, what's going to be GCF? Y to the third. All right. Now you got to figure out what's the GCF of 375 and 24? 3. Okay, let's check it. So I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna let's check this first of all. Check and see if 3y cubed is gonna work. So 3y cubed. So I'm gonna take 375. I'm gonna divide it by 3. So 375 divided by 3 equals 125. Y to the what? Third. Minus, and then 3 times what's 24? 8. And that's it, right? Now, see that parentheses, you got to ask yourself, can I do anything besides, in terms of the GCF, 125y cubed minus 8, what's that GCF? 1. So I'm good. Now we're going to see if we can factor this. I'm going to go off to the side. I'm going to ask myself, can I factor that further? How many terms do you see?
2.
What's the middle sign?
Negative.
So is this a difference of 2 squares?
No.
No, because that y is being raised to the third power, and 8's not a perfect square to begin with, and nor is 125. So is this a difference of 2 cubes? All right, let's see. If it is, then that means I can fill in these parentheses. What times itself 3 times is 1 to 25 y cubed? 5 what? What? What times itself 3 times is 8? 2. So this is the difference of 2 cubes. So there's my F and there's my L. So what's my binomial? Okay. All right, now let's talk about the trinomial. In the formula, the first term is F squared. So F times F. What's F here?
5y.
Okay, what's 5y times 5y? 25y squared. Plus FL. What's F? What's L?
2.
What's the product? 10y.
10y.
And then plus L squared. L times L. What's L?
2.
What's 2 times 2? And so that's the answer there for this. But what's the answer to the original problem?
3y cubed.
Times this binomial times a trinomial.
Yeah.
All right, times 25y squared plus 10y plus 4. Okay. All right, you guys at that point. All right, now let's see.